All right, welcome to the Murfreesboro City Council, our regular meeting. It's August the 8th, 7 o'clock. Councilmember Rick LaLance has our prayer and our pledge.
All right, if y'all bow with me. Lord, thank you for today. We thank you for all the blessings in our lives and in our city, and we thank you for our staff and all those that take care of the city. Lord, we hope that you'll be with the schools and the children that are going back and the parents, and hope that you'll put your blessing on those schools of safety and let those kids learn to their fullest ability. We hope you'll be with us tonight and help our decisions. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, I would like to make one quick comment before we get into ceremonial items. We had the grand opening of Middle Tennessee Boulevard on Friday of last week. I know there were several council members who were there, but I had the opportunity to sit next to Bart Gordon and Senator Alexander and listening to them talk. You know, this is one gentleman from one party, another gentleman from another party, and I was listening to them talk about walking Murfreesboro 35 years ago down Highway 96 when nothing was there, and then how that they ended up working together on the Greenway, that they ended up working together on getting this road completed. So it was really, want to thank Congressman Gordon and Senator Alexander for what they did to help make that come to fruition. It really is going to change the face of our community. And what I did, he pointed me to an article, and Councilman LaLance is going through this, but he was talking about that when students come to campus, that the first impression is normally, what does the campus look like? What does it look like driving in? And that's really makes a lot of the decisions on whether someone will continue to look at that university or not. So I'm proud of everyone coming together. I'm proud of the staff. I know Chris Griffith had a whole lot more hair 4 years ago when that project was coming to fruition. Really want to thank Mike Stacy. That was Mike's project that he oversaw. I think a challenging build, especially with the contractor. So really want to thank all of our staff for a job well done on getting that project finished. With that, we're going to have a weeding project this weekend out on the median of Middle Tennessee Boulevard. So anyone that wants to come out there and help do some landscaping.
It is beautiful out there now. They've done a really good job of getting that cleaned up between the city street department and the MTSU's greenhouse services. They did a phenomenal job of whipping that back into shape, and it really looks pretty nice now.
And don't want to speak out of turn, but one of the reasons all of us got emailed quite a bit about the median and the landscaping, and you know, it's one of those things that we can't really publicly go out and just bash someone, but we had at that time, and I don't think we still have, we had not accepted the road, correct?
Right, we haven't yet.
So because of legal issues with the contractor,
Right.
you know, it's one of those things that we were not sure whether we could do that or not. And the weeds that you saw were not the city's responsibility because we had not accepted the road yet. So
They weren't our weeds.
yeah, that's right.
And you mentioned Chris Griffin. I know that his department has been working on some hot spots around town, and I noticed the intersection at Robert Rose and 96 the other day where you doubled the capacity of the stacking lanes. And I know anybody who goes through the intersection out there at Cason Lane and 96 really appreciates what you've done out there, Chris. So we can't say thank you enough for focusing on the traffic flow and stuff around town and continually trying to improve it. I know it's challenging, but you're doing a great job.
All right, Pam.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. As you know, the STAR Service Excellence Program is intended to recognize outstanding employees who embody the city's standards for service excellence. This evening, we recognize Tim Rolette of the Fire and Rescue Department. Rolette was nominated by Battalion Chief Brian Lowe for his actions taken while off duty July 21st, 2019, supporting crews at the county fire scene on Browns Chapel Road. The county was working a structure fire that was fully engulfed in flames. Due to the terrain, lack of access, and heat, resources were being taxed. The county requested mutual aid from the city to help with extinguishment. Engine 5 responded to help, and on arrival, it was evident that the lack of access was creating an uphill battle for the responders. Rolette, who was off duty and lived just down the road from the fire scene, used his four-wheeler to move water and personnel up to the front line. He also made it possible to move an injured firefighter from the hot zone to an ambulance 2,500 feet away. If not for Rolette, care would have been delayed. As the scene came to a close, Rolette used his truck and trailer to haul the county's fire hose to a safe location so that they could reload it. Rolette's actions to support the county exemplify the character that we desire for all our employees. Thank you, Tim, for your outstanding performance.
Ladies, wait 1 second. I wanted Tim to introduce, y'all lend him to us on a daily basis, and I know I'm sure left his house that night while y'all were there to be able to go help, so I wanted him to introduce his family.
I want to introduce my family, but I'd like to thank the city for giving me this honor. I've enjoyed my career here, and I look forward to continue my career here. I want to thank my wife, Crystal. She's been with me 25 years through my career. My oldest daughter, Paige, she don't know any other lifestyle but Daddy being gone every third day, as long with my other two daughters, my middle daughter, Kayla, and my youngest daughter, Caitlin. So thank y'all for giving me this opportunity and providing my family with the lifestyle we've lived through the city.
Yeah, while the mayor's making his way back up here, I know at one of our park facilities the other day, we had somebody go down, and I understand Mike Philpott stepped in and performed CPR and life-saving techniques on the person and kept them alive until the emergency responders got there, and I hope that we're considering him for a Stars Award as well.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman Smotherman. Mike, I called Mike Nate had sent the email, called Mike to congratulate. Mike, in true form, didn't want to take the credit. He really wanted to talk about what everybody else did and how quickly that our police department and fire department got there. So, but he did point out and wanted to make the council know that the defibrillators, the AED devices that we bought many years ago and have put at all of our city facilities, that if it hadn't been for that AED, that person would not have made it. So it's one of the things I think the residents need to also know, that when they're in our facilities, to make sure and know where those AEDs are. So, all right, you have the consent agenda in front of you.
I'll move for approval.
Second. Motion second. Ms. Wright, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. We'll move to old business. Ordinance 19OZ20, second and final reading, zoning for approximately 13.1 acres located along Shelbyville Pike.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Ordinance 19OZ21, second and final reading, rezoning for approximately 20.06 acres located along Middle Tennessee Boulevard.
No questions or comments. I'll move for approval.
Second.
Ms. Wright?
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Ordinance 19OZ22, second and final reading for rezoning approximately 14.99 acres along New Salem Highway.
Move for approval.
Second. Motion is second. Ms. Wright?
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. We'll now move to new business, Resolution 19R18, to revise schedule of fees for electrical permits. Mr. Holtz?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. The resolution you have before you tonight is to revise the schedule of fees for electrical permits. The main thing I want you to know, we're not increasing permit fees. We are adding additional permit. Currently, if you're doing electrical work for renovation on a house, the only permit option you have is an $85 permit that covers rough end, final, and re-inspection. What the resolution will do, add a permit for only a final electrical inspection. There are a few small projects that only require one inspection. This permit will start at $35 for 200 amp service and go up based on the service size. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
If there aren't any, I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Wright?
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Holtz. All right, we'll move to, on motion, use of wireless telecommunication devices while driving. Ms. Russell?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The city is requesting approval to amend Employee Handbook Policy 4015 entitled Use of Wireless Telecommunication Devices While Driving. The current policy prohibits the use of a Bluetooth device while driving. With the Tennessee Hands-Free Law going into effect July 1 of this year, it's necessary to update the policy to allow for hand-free devices or integrated in-car systems with Bluetooth technology. So the use of Bluetooth devices will allow our employees to be safe while operating city vehicles. Thank you for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Wright?
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Thank you, Ms. Russell. All right, we have the 2019 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Application Program and MOU with Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. Chief Bowen?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. For your consideration this evening is a request to approve the application for the 2019 Justice Assistance Grant and enter into a MOU with the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department for the sharing of grant funds. The Rutherford County Sheriff's Department and city are eligible for a joint award of $63,143 from the 2019 Edward Byrne Memorial Grant. The grant was established in honor of New York City Police Officer Edward Byrne, who was killed in the line of duty in 1988. Proceeds will be shared equally between the agencies, with the city serving as the fiscal agent. The city's portion of the grant is $31,572, which will be used to purchase tasers and related supplies. At this time, I'm available to answer any questions that you might have.
This is the same grant that Hiram Lester used to bring every year to us, isn't it?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
No questions. I move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Wright?
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Thank you,
Thank you.
Chief. All right, we'll now move to the downtown Murfreesboro storm drainage improvements for a design contract. Mr. Griffith?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. I have for you tonight a design contract with Huddleston Steel Engineering for downtown storm drainage improvements. Staff requested a proposal from Huddleston Steel to include storm drainage improvements in areas not limited to East Lytle, East Burton, Jackson Street, North Academy, and Evergreen Street. The project is primary funding source will be from the stormwater user fee. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Wright?
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance. Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Griffith.
Thank you.
Item 23, Walter Hill Dam maintenance improvements.
Mayor, City Council, thank you for the opportunity tonight. I feel like I may be taking this nice rhythm, fast-paced council meeting to a grinding halt. With the next 7 or 8 items, I'm going to go ahead and apologize.
Wow, thanks a lot.
I'm going to go ahead.
I got
And,
my questions
well-
out of the way yesterday. I'm good. I'm good.
I can try to summarize as quickly as possible, but some of these items are a little hard. Well, they're very detailed. The first item I have for you this evening is the Walter Hill Dam remediation repairs. We bid this project back in June of 2018 with no bidders. We bid it again in July and got one bidder, Heron Construction. In essence, we have to repair or replace the cap on top of the dam, and we have to create, we put in a cementitious lining on the backside of the dam in several areas. We did not get the Corps permit. We gave the notice to proceed in July. The Corps took an extraordinarily long time to get us the permit, so the contractor didn't get allowed to work until September. Fall was a very rainy season. The flows were up, high velocities. They couldn't get the divers in, so we issued a stop work order in December. The Corps permit disallowed work from January 15th through July 1 because of some sensitive spawning habits of some fish out there. So we have now come back and issued a notice to recommence July 12th. As luck would have it, and the way they're doing this work is this is just a representative picture of a coffer The way they intended to do the work was to draw down the water behind the dam so they get this cementitious lining applied properly. It turns out that our lake intake pump up here in the upper left-hand corner, we had some VFD problems. So
What's VFD?
variable frequency drive, I'm sorry. Those operate our pumps. I know. Well, the idea was to lower the water level at the dam. The problem with lowering the water at the dam is it renders our river intake pump stations here by the plant, we cannot use those. So now we have an inoperable intake pump, and we have an inoperable river pump when they lower the water. So they have to do the work using divers. So it's going to be underwater work. So all that being said, it's a $75,000 add, which is significant. It's about a 15% increase to the price of the contract, but it's necessary due to the fact that we can't lower the water behind the dam as the original scope required. So with that, I can go into vortex and air locking suctions of sides of pumps or anything you'd like to go into technically. We just can't lower the water. So we would ask for, I'm going to move forward here. We're asking for the $75,000 add and the 287 days due to the Corps of Engineer permit delays and the prohibition to work. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Did you guys know this dam was built in 1890 by Jim Perry?
I know that.
That's right.
Pretty awesome. That's Civil War stuff, man.
We
Still there.
That's 1860s.
Well, barely. I mean, pretty much.
the city
he was
actually
alive.
acquired possession of the dam in 1941.
He was alive.
Got pictures.
I'm gonna move for approval.
Hey, one quick question.
Right.
The
Sweep supply water.
about 2 weeks ago, we had a pretty large fish die kill-off out there for some reason. Was that because of the water just shifting and that normal water flip that causes that, or?
I think,
Yeah, I think they were cleaned and dumped.
yeah, there was not an actual fish kill. I think it was someone caught fish, cleaned the fish, and threw the fish
Base of
carcasses.
the ramp, is that what everybody was photographing and putting on Facebook?
Yes.
Nice. That's our fault. Right.
I thought it was Lance.
Was it Rick that did it?
Wasn't Shane, he never catches
I
anything.
know, we were just talking about that before the meeting. My son thinks that there's no fish in any lake around here.
I second Rick's motion.
All right, motion and a second. Ms. Wright, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye.
Thank
All right. It's water and sewer all night. Buchanan Elementary Sanitary Sewer Assessment District boundary requested. Revisions and additions.
Yes. What you see before you on the map that I have in front of you are two areas that we are requesting to be included in the Buchanan Elam Special Sewer Assessment District.
Or not. I need to make a quick note. We've been asked, item 24 is being removed from the agenda.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, Darren.
The items that you see on the map, one is around 19.8 acres, and one is actually around 1 acre. It's a very small area up at the very top of the page there. What we're asking for is consistent, we believe, with the policy that the council has adopted, which is if adding out of city developments, if they actually meet a higher purpose to the public and are de minimis or have very little impact on our collection and treatment system, that they are acceptable to come into the sewer system. What I'm showing you here, this is a Stonebridge development. The area, and I'm not as good here, for some reason I can't outline as well as Matthew. That area is inside the assessment district. The area that we're asking to be included is the magenta or this purple area. What that allows, it allows about 30 more units into the development that would not normally be provided. The blue area that I've outlined, that was landlocked, so it had no access to road frontage. What we've done by allowing this magenta, if you allow this magenta area to come in, it allows Rucker Road, which is part of the county's thoroughfare plan, to make this connection that I've just drawn out there. So that's where we believe it meets a higher purpose or meets a higher public good, as well as 30 lots added to our sewer system. It just does not deplete that much capacity within our collection or treatment system. The other item, which is a 1 acre tract, is at this magenta area. It's a New Bethel Church property. It's proposed to be purchased. What this allows is the development that's in yellow, which is inside the assessment area. It allows this to have a connection down to Elam Road, and it allows the county to basically take out this side road that parallels the interstate. So that road can be abandoned. Again, in 1 acre, if there's 1 lot or 2 lots that can be put on there, we don't expect that to have any impact on the sewer system. So these are really kind of some cleanup items that we feel like benefits the public or benefits the county. It's benefiting the county. It lets them build to their thoroughfare plan on Rucker Road and eliminate a significant section of road paralleling I-24. So the recommendation is to add these two tracts to the Buchanan Elam Special Sanitary Sewer Assessment District. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
It's always nice when we can be a good municipality and help out the county, so I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Wright, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, we'll move to the sanitary sewer rehabilitation award of contract.
What I've got, the illustration before you, is, again, this is just showing the little squares represent plan sheets that we prepare that kind of go over a significant portion of the city. When we find areas where our sanitary sewer is in need of rehabilitation or repair or replacement, manholes that are leaking, or sewer laterals, which are the service lines that go to residents and commercial areas, when we find that those are in need of repair, we do a comprehensive rehab project. What we've done, and this is kind of a representative plan, you can see where there's, in red, the 3 sections of sewer that we're showing it cured in place. That's basically putting a new pipe, slip lining a new pipe inside an old pipe. We have 17,240 feet of pipe, about 1,335 vertical feet of manhole lining, and 170 sewer lateral linings for a $3,842,300 total bid. We do this about every other year. It takes about 2 years to come up with and develop this level of detail to bid it out. We do have funding. We're going to our reserves. We have $4.5 million earmarked last year's budget and this year's budget. We've spent about $432,000 on engineering and design. The $3.8 million still leaves us a surplus of $225,699 in the budget. So we would recommend awarding this project. We had 2 bidders, and we would recommend awarding it to the low bidder, SBW Constructors. This is our attempt to regain capacity in the sewer system by keeping the rainwater and infiltration inflow from depleting the capacity of our sanitary sewer system.
Any questions for Mr. Gore?
What is the term of this contract? I mean, it's for a land.
It's a sanitary sewer rehabilitation contract.
And so it's just as they fail, or what?
Oh, no, we go through and we televise the lines. We have 3 CCTV trucks where we run cameras through the line, and it's a PACP, it's a pipeline assessment condition protocol that we go in and we assess whether there's a rating system of how dilapidated the pipe is and how deteriorated the pipe is. So we bring all that back into a database. It's really an asset management protocol that we follow, and so as we assess and inspect the inner workings of the system, we pull all that together to a consultant, and they create the design, the bid package. So it's a very regimented, assessed process that we go through to define what's the worst of the worst.
But how long does it take to complete this?
It usually takes about 1.5 years. I think we've got about 18 months on this project, and so about the time we finish one, we're ready to go again, right? And the overarching goal is to try to replace about 2% of the system per year. That puts our life of our pipe at about 50 years. After a pipe reaches that 50-year mark, it starts to not perform as well.
No other questions? I move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Wright, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. We'll move to waste load allocation model updates and additions.
This is probably the more complicated memo I have to go through with you tonight, but I will do my best because it's a very scientific based model that we awarded a contract about a year and a half ago for $302,000. The purpose of this model is to demonstrate to TDEC, the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, that our effluent that we're discharging from our water resource recovery facility is of such a high quality, we are actually not taking any assimilative capacity from the West Fork Stones River. We are actually enhancing the quality of the river. The more effluent we put in, we're trying to demonstrate to them we're the cleaner stream. Our effluent is cleaner than what's in the river. And the way you do that is through a waste load allocation model. You go out and you take sample points, then you try to calibrate that to a model to predict various scenarios. The problem we had when we met with TDEC in June of 2017 to get their endorsement on a model called WASP. Can't think of that. That's an acronym. It's in the memo. It's a water quality assessment model. The problem we had is if you see that red line where we had the black dots, that is actual measurements in the stream. Where the model would fail is it would start to lose temperature. This is basically you got temperature on your y-axis. So these red lines here underneath were not predicting the model properly, and we spent months working with the EPA. It was actually a model developed by the EPA, and they had a certain, there's one gentleman that built the model and supported the model, got to the point where he could not solve this problem. So we had a significant amount of time trying to rectify and fix a modeling error that even the person who wrote the program could not fix. So we met with TDEC in June of this year, and we showed them this problem. We said we needed to switch, and it's the CE Qual W2 model. All I can tell you is that we did not experience that same problem. The predicted results were aligning or correlating with the sampled results that we had in the stream. The only issue we had is the amount of time and effort that the AquaTair, who are the modeling scientists, spent trying to fix and then transition to the new model. So I went over with them. They had a very detailed hourly breakdown. The original proposal was for 524 hours. They're actually at, I didn't add those, it's 457 plus the 377, and then they expect an additional 322 hours to complete it. Again, this is a $75,000 added cost to the model when the original amount was only $303,500. It's a 25% increase. All I can tell you is I went over it with a fine-tooth comb, and they justified the time to me. And we're in it deep enough that we need to continue. It's got a big enough payoff associated with it. If we don't have this model, then we will not be able to get TDEC to approve our next plant expansion. Even with this model, I don't want to put up a false hope here. Even with the model and the model demonstrating what I believe it will demonstrate, there's still a chance that TDEC will not let us expand the plant, but there's zero chance if we don't have the model put together. So I would request your approval for this change order on the engineering modeling task.
Mr. Grubb, just one question. From switching to the WASP, from the WASP model to the W2 model, is that going to change the historical data that we have collected as you're submitting to TDEC for additional capacity? Is it going to matter that we've got two different models measuring those things?
No. All the sampling is still applicable. You're just inputting it into a different model. We've basically, the WASP model is scratched. It's out. We took all the data that was collected, that was salvageable,
Okay.
put it into the new model, and we've just basically rebuilt it from the new model.
So the data is not scrapped?
The
model's scrapped.
yeah, the integrity of the data is whole.
Is there any experience with this newer model in other communities that have tried to represent the state? This model works or is acceptable with the state?
That's why we met with them June of this year. When we met with them in June of 17 to get their endorsement of the WASP model, and they endorsed it. When it obviously would not work and failed, we said we need to sit back down with them and discuss the problems and the challenges we had and get them to endorse the new model that we're transitioning to. So we were very frank with them in the fact that we want to cooperate with them and we want to work collaboratively with them. But at a certain point, if we reach an impasse that they are going to challenge us, I needed to know, because there are alternate paths that we can take besides just a purely technical path. So there's socioeconomic justifications and there's legislative routes that can be taken, but we really want to go through the front door and demonstrate it technically And they heard me, and they understand what we're trying to do.
If there are no other questions, I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Ms. Wright, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet. Aye. Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to extension of contract for chemical purchases.
This is fairly straightforward. We accepted bids for bleach, which is necessary to disinfect our repurified water that's generated at the Water Resource Recovery Facility. Took those bids last year. This is an extension of that chemical bid. It's basically 85.5 cents per gallon, and we have a budgeted amount of $75,000 for FY20, and we would just ask for your approval to extend that contract.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Ms. Wright, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Have an emergency repair of a 54-inch gravity sanitary sewer main.
Yes, sir. This map in front of you shows the location of a 54-inch collapse. It's at South Molloy Lane near Bridge Avenue. Unfortunately, the memo says this was a ductile iron pipe. I found out today it is not. It is actually the fiber reinforced plastic pipe, Hobos, which is the similar material and manufacturer of what we had happen on the Southwest Interceptor on the Hutchinson track. So again, the picture that I show you here, this is a video of our CCTV. This is just where the top has collapsed and the dirt and soil and rock has come in through the top. We are bypass pumping this right now. If you see you set the bypass pump here, and then you run some hard piping, and we've actually closed the greenway down. Nate has been working with us there, and we have to bypass pump to a downstream manhole. That is going on right now. We did that through an emergency purchase with city manager approval. So we did go through and get 3 quotes for an emergency repair from Garney Construction, SBW, and Jacobs Construction. Jacobs Construction is the low quote of $251,053, and so we would ask for your approval to, it's a 25-foot deep pipe, and so we just need to dig down on it and make this point repair. I'm available for questions.
Any questions?
No questions, move for approval.
Who was second?
Oh, I'm sorry.
We just had the motion.
Had a
Second.
motion. Ronnie seconded it.
Ronnie, okay. Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Anything else, Mr. Gore?
I'm available for solid waste questions. Nothing else, Mayor. Thank you.
Have a seat.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Gore. We appreciate your hard work.
Thank you very much.
All right, any licensing?
Mayor, we have a regular beer permit tonight for a grocery market ownership change. The location is the same. We also, on that one, they lack finishing up the building codes inspection, so we would not issue that if you approve it until that is complete. We also have 3 fundraisers for Charity Circle on 8/16, 9/20, and 12/13 at various locations in Murfreesboro. And we have a fundraiser for Center for the Arts on 9/18 at their location, at 550 East Main Street. Those special permits are ready to issue if you approve them tonight. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Move for approval?
Second.
Motion is second, Ms. Wright.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, we'll move to, there's no board and commission appointments. Any statements to be paid?
No, Mayor.
All right, I think we have some other business.
Mr. Anthony?
Good evening, everyone. I want to veer off script for just a second to let you know that my good friend Patty Pope is back here. She's worked for the city for more than 23 years, most of it in community development, and she's notified us that she's going to be retiring from city service next week. She has a wealth of knowledge and expertise and a great passion for her work and for the agencies and individuals who she has served for so long. We'll miss working with her and wish her all of the best. Thanks, Patty. I distributed a packet earlier and also sent it by email. If you'd like to go over every page of that contract, I'd be more than happy to. Otherwise, I'll tell you that each year the city receives Emergency Solutions Grant funding from HUD, which is channeled through the Tennessee Housing Development Agency, or THDA. The grant is focused primarily on homelessness prevention and alleviation and can be used to fund emergency shelters, rapid rehousing, and homelessness prevention. Our grant for this year is $161,250. The city would keep $11,250 for administrative costs and then distribute the remaining $150,000 to 5 partner agencies. Those are HARC, the Journey Home, the Salvation Army, Doors of Hope, and the Domestic Violence Program. This evening, we're asking you to approve the execution of the city's contract with THDA, as well as those 5 subrecipient agreements. Mr. Ives has reviewed them, and we have determined that they're consistent with the agreements that have been executed over the last few years. I can answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Mr. Anthony?
There are no questions. I move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Wright, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Any other business?
No.
Ms. Wright, I think you have someone you'd like to introduce, a new employee.
I do. Thank you for allowing me to do that. We have a new employee named Joshua Miller, and he is now going to be in charge of doing our minutes and helping me with public record requests and helping us manage our contracts. So we've started him off with minutes, and he has been a joy so far to start working with, and I look forward to, I hope, many years to come.
Awesome. And an MTSU graduate.
MTSU grad.
All right, welcome aboard. Any other business? All right, seeing none. Mr. Tyndall, how's our schedule look next week?
Next week, we'll be in workshop on the 14th, on Wednesday, and we'll meet on the 22nd, and not made a determine. That following week then is our retreat, so we won't meet that week.
I am out on Wednesday. I'm not going to be. I'll be at the retreat, but I'm not going to be here Wednesday
For the workshop.
for the workshop.
Okay.
All right, seeing no other business, we'll stand adjourned.